The stakes have never been higher in the GOP push for tax reform. Tonight, we're still waiting for the final vote on the sweeping overhaul of the tax code.
Late tonight, there was some maneuvering, and it was actually put on hold. KCON9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with the very latest on this tax bill. And it's wrangling, I guess, right?
Well,
to the very
absolutely.
last minute.
They've been going on and on amendments. It's getting pretty late in Washington about this hour. Senate Republicans beat back an attempt by the Democrats to delay the vote on the final tax cuts until Monday to give senators a chance to read the new bill before voting on it. But it's after midnight now in Washington, D.C., and so far there has not been a final vote on the Republican tax plan, and it's not clear exactly when that might happen tonight. Still waiting for the final Senate tax cut vote, which would cap off a day of furious rewriting of the tax bill by Republicans to attract the last few holdouts, and angry reactions from Democrats who were steaming about handwritten changes being plopped into the margins, and in some cases, they say were barely legible.
I want you to take a look at this, folks. This is your government at work. Here's the bill as it's written. Here's the modifications that are in it. I can read one word. It's called add this language. Can you tell me what that word is? If you can, you got better eyes than me.
Republicans downplay the litany of 11th hour changes, calling it business as usual.
This is perfectly normal. Part of politics is drama.
The drama was focused on a couple of Republican holdouts and the concessions that would seal their votes. Adding a deduction for individual property taxes capped at $10,000 and reviving the alternative minimum tax for high earners. But for some Republican deficit hawks like Senator Bob Corker, there was no magic fix.
They know I've got fiscal concerns and, I'm probably a dinosaur in that regard. I understand.
Corker wants to scale back the lavish tax cuts for the rich and corporations after a nonpartisan analysis of the GOP tax plan determined that the tax cuts would only trigger enough economic growth to cover about 1/3 of the nearly $1.5 trillion price tag. But most of his fellow Republicans are more concerned about getting something done than about the details.
I think it will pay for itself and then some, and if I'm wrong, like every other Republican, we'll pay a price.
The analysis estimated that a family of four making $75,000 a year would start out with a tax break of about $2,200. But Democrats charge those savings would only be temporary.
Mr. McCain, no.
And they called for a vote on delaying action on the bill until Monday so the senators could actually read the bill and understand it before voting on it.
How high the stench is rising in this chamber as we debate the bill tonight. There will be no analysis of how American businesses and taxpayers fare under this bill, how high taxes go up or go down. No one could know, because it hasn't even been read, let alone thoughtfully considered.
Well, it's a landmark vote with far-reaching consequences for most Americans. We all know that by now. Joining us now on set for analysis is USC Professor of Law and Accounting Michael Simkovic. Professor, thank you so much. We've got a lot of questions here, as you might imagine.
Thank you for having me.
So at some point tonight, this bill will likely pass, and then we'll have two different versions of what the tax cut should be. What's the difference, and which one's better than the other?
Right. Well, the Senate bill is a lot less extreme than the House bill. It's been scored as not increasing federal deficits as much, and a lot of the more unpopular provisions in the House bill have been scaled back. So if you did not like the House bill, the Senate bill is better, although it might still not be better than the status quo.
Okay, so based on what we know about the bill, how much will it increase the national debt, and then why does that matter?
Right. An earlier version of the Senate bill was scored as increasing national debt by more than $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The U.S. right now has a debt-to-GDP ratio which is above 100%. The last time it was that high was around World War II. Used to be around 30% in the early 1980s, and it's steadily climbed. The reason that's a problem is because the government has big expenses on the horizon, Social Security, Medicare, and also the economy is relatively good right now, and at some point we're going to have another recession when the government will need to borrow money to spend to stimulate the economy, and doing that will be more difficult if we increase debt now instead of paying it down while times are relatively good.
Professor, let's localize this national story and talk about California. So how will this bill, as you see it now, affect Californians when it comes to owning homes and when it comes to their maybe their higher education and healthcare as well?
Right. Again, it's not great in terms of home ownership, but it is an improvement from the House bill. Home equity loans, the interest on those will no longer be tax deductible. People used to be able to deduct the interest on up to $100,000 of home equity indebtedness. That is going away. Mortgage interest will still be deductible up to $1 million. The House bill would have reduced that to $500,000. Okay. And property tax deductions will be capped at $10,000. And in California, property tax rates are typically around 1 to 2%. So that means someone with a home worth between $500,000 and up to $1 million would start to lose their property tax deduction.
So we're going to take a little bit of a hit nonetheless, it looks like. But what about higher education in California?
Yes, so California has a number of really strong institutions which are going to be taxed more heavily under this bill. The bill is going to tax university endowments at places like Stanford, Harvey Mudd, Scripps, Pomona, a number of other institutions. Higher education is actually really important to California's economy. There are a lot of tech companies which rely on an educated labor force, and there are concerns that that might limit the ability of those institutions to continue to serve California the way that they have in the past.
But not all the universities, not USC or UCLA?
No, that's right. Only universities with endowments greater than $250,000 per student will see their endowments taxed. And it's been characterized as sort of a Harvard tax, but that's not really true. There are a lot of institutions that you would not think of as being elite or particularly fancy, which will be hit by the tax.
Now, the Senate bill also has this provision where it would eliminate the individual mandate for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. If that's adopted by the House and that, in the conference becomes part of the final package, what impact will that have on the Affordable Care Act and on health care?
Right. So the expectation is that if that is adopted, health insurance premiums will increase. The reason for the mandate was to encourage people who are relatively healthy to purchase health insurance so that the average cost of providing it would be lower, and that in effect people who were healthier would help to defray the cost of insuring people who were less lucky, less fortunate, and less healthy. With the mandate removed, the risk pool could deteriorate, which will raise costs for insurance companies, which will force them to pass those costs on by increasing premiums.
So you'll have more sick people, less healthy people, and the costs then, of course, are going to go up.
They'll cost the insurance companies more, and the insurance companies will charge more because of that.
All right. I know we could go on and on.
We could.
Maybe even later than
I
they
thought we
are
were just
over
getting
there.
warmed up.
But Dave, thank you. And thank you again, USC Professor Michael Simovic.